Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your girl Chrissy Pips. Welcome if this is your first time being here. This is a new video series for my channel, and it is all about learning how your child learns and helping your child do better in school. Parents, it is time to step our game up. This is a video series specifically for the 2022 school year and some things that I'm trying to do with my son. And since I'm doing these things, I figured I would share my journey along the way and hopefully help out a few other parents. Now, as always, if you guys are here, you're interested, so let's get into it. Are you able to learn some topics faster than others? Until now, you probably thought that it had to do with the topic itself. Like my son and I, we thought that we were just not good at math. But researchers have found out that in most cases, people not liking a topic or just not being good at it is just not true. What separates it, or what the difference is how we're taught, right? If you learn better by doing, you're probably a kinesthetic learner. That means that you need to do something physical with your hands or use skills in order to learn. If you learn from visual aids, you're probably a visual learner. Then you may do better from video courses. If audiobooks are your thing, then you might be auditory, right? Or even listening to movies as opposed to watching them, you might retain more. So auditory learning style techniques are going to be the best options for you, okay? And really quick question, right? Did you know that your personality type also has a large effect on how you learn too? An extrovert does better in group settings, while an introvert learns better by themselves. Some people learn better with clear goals, while others learn better when feeling and emotion is invested into the outcome of whatever it is that they're learning. Some people learn better in the morning. Some people learn better in the afternoon. Some people learn better with music playing in the background, and some like pure silence, right? So what you like in your personality has a lot to do with how you take in, absorb, and use information. Also, given that everyone has a unique way of learning, it would be wrong to say that a specific learning style is the best way to learn, right? We can agree on that. So understanding you and your child's style of learning is very important. The world we live in is constantly evolving with so much to learn in so little time. Knowing and using the right learning techniques is essential. After years of research, researchers and scientists have found that most of what we're taught in school about learning is wrong. In fact, research shows that most learning techniques used by college students are very, very ineffective. That's kind of horrible. But the same research shows that a handful of learning techniques that are actually used are kind of useful. So in this video, I'll be explaining 3 things that are not working according to science and research. It's not that they don't work for everybody or anybody. It's just that they don't work because not enough extra information or detail is being provided on how to do these things properly, which we're going to go through in some later videos in this series. But these are the 3 things that science and research says don't work. The rest of the videos in this series are going to break down what they say actually works, and I'll provide you with some tips on how to use these techniques too. I'll even share what my son and I use. The first thing that scientists say doesn't work is rereading. Rereading is simply reading a text, chapter, or article more than once. The thought is that reading the text will help you to pick up ideas, concepts, and terms that maybe you didn't understand initially or you didn't notice. But the effects of rereading do appear to be useful across a limited amount of people, right? Rereading does need to be spaced out as well, which also makes it a little bit more effective. And I'll show you a method for this in a later video. If you're rereading, you're reciting something and you're not comprehending the information. You're just memorizing. That's not helpful if you're supposed to read it to understand. You're not rereading in order to understand, you're rereading to remember. So that's why scientists say it doesn't work. During our school years, most of the things that we read are to understand to use later, not recall and forget due to lack of use. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? Although rereading is relatively economical, it is very time consuming, but economical when compared to some other learning techniques. Rereading is less effective because it's so time intensive. Other study methods are simply less time consuming and more valuable if you have limited time constraints. Okay, next we have highlighting and underlining. And that's when you just highlight or underline important passages or key ideas in a text. This is one of the most common study techniques. Highlighting or underlining typically appeals to students because it's simple to do. Most people think it does not require training and does not require students to invest much time beyond what's already required for the reading of the material, right? But does highlighting, either actively doing it or reading previously highlighted passages, actually help you to learn? Now, on the basis of available evidence from research done, highlighting and underlining does not give you the effect that you think. It's not so effective. In most situations that have been examined with most participants, highlighting does little to boost performance. It may help when students have the knowledge needed to highlight more effectively. Like I said, most people don't think you need training, but you kind of do. Or when text is difficult, highlighting comes in handy and can be useful, but it may actually hurt performance on a higher level task that requires inference making and things like that. And making inferences requires students to combine what they already know with what they're reading. So if you're reading to learn, this technique is not useful at all. In other words, most students have been doing this because it's easy to do and there's a common belief that it helps, but it doesn't. The research tells a very, very different story. Not only does it not help, but for some or certain types of material, it may actually hurt your performance. So I'm going to help you with a few tips for making this work, because there are some methods that do, but just in general, highlighting and underlining does not work. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about summarization. It's simply reading a text like a book or a chapter or article or something, and then writing a brief summary of what you've just read. Now, successful summaries identify the main points of a text and capture a gist of the whole thing while excluding any unimportant or repetitive information. So, given that summarizing helps to boil down the text into key concepts or ideas, why doesn't it work very well as a reliable study aid? Well, it can be an effective learning strategy for learners who are already skilled at summarizing. However, many learners, including children, high school students, and even some undergrads, will require training to learn the skill of summarizing, which makes this strategy less feasible. In other words, a lot of students don't know how to do it very well because they were never taught how. Listen, parents, I'm sharing with you everything that I wish I had done or known before my son got to high school. Okay, knowing how your child learns shows you how to assist and nurture their individual learning style to help them reach their maximum potential. As a parent, we can tell when our children vibe with certain teachers or even certain schools altogether. Why not dive a little bit deeper? Because every child is excited about learning something, and I do mean every child. If you're a parent with a kid that absolutely loves video games, but they seem like they have absolutely no interest in school, they're probably visual people. Or your child loses textbooks every single year, they're not really into reading, right? They might be auditory. Or they only want to play like sports, right? They're probably kinesthetic learners. Kinesthetic learners are good at sports and they have lots and lots of energy. So parents, listen, I'm sharing with you everything that I wish I had known before my son got to high school. Okay, knowing how your child learns shows you how to assist and nurture their individual learning style to help them reach their maximum potential. So, as parents, we can tell when our kids vibe with certain teachers or certain schools altogether. So why not dive a little bit deeper to see how we can kind of pick out things to help them get the best and the most out of the school year. Every child is excited about learning something. A kid that has been labeled as like ADD or ADHD, they focus on certain things, right? So all I'm saying is that all of our kids have something that speaks to them in some sort of way to help learning become more exciting for them. All we have to do is figure it out so we can help them and usher them into that process. Now, our job as parents is to help uncover those things and kind of learn with them. Okay, so my challenge to parents this year is to try and just pay a little bit more attention to your kid. Find out who their favorite teacher is and see if their favorite teacher has the same learning style as them. That may be why they click so well. Okay, this is just one of the things that I'm doing that I'm going to look for this year for my son too. Okay, so your next step is to learn what you and your child's learning styles are. In my opinion, learning your child's learning style will help you understand how effectively you're able to help them. If you both are like learning in the same way, if you both have the same learning style, you helping them will hold great value. While on the other hand, if you both have very different learning styles, simply learning how to teach or assist them in that learning style will bring more value to you both. You'll be less frustrated. They'll get more value and they'll obtain and retain more information because you're not teaching them the way that you learn. You're teaching them the way that they learn. And that makes a difference. Now, in the description box below, you will find the link to a few learning quizzes that estimate your learning style with a few quick questions. Make sure that everyone takes the quizzes, even you. Save your results, okay? This was very helpful for both my son and I because it actually helped us to be able to communicate better. Because if you know how learning styles learn and retain information, you can communicate to them in that manner so that they actually get it when you say it. Now, also, after that, do me a favor. Please feel free to skip to the video for your child's learning style, followed by at least their secondary style in the series. I'll also let you know in those videos what tips work best for that learning style. Okay, what's suited for them, but keep in mind that I'm not saying that learning style or those tips won't work for other or even combination style learners. If you're an avid book reader or you have a bookworm in the house, I've included a few books in the description box below for you. All of the books are under $20. Some of them are even available on Audible for my auditory learners. I even included Atomic Habits because that's by far one of the best books I've ever read. It helps you create healthy habits and they actually stick, which can definitely be beneficial for learning, growing, and developing new skills. You need to have healthy habits so that those new skills stick, so that you can actually dive deep enough into the material to learn it, right? So I included Atomic Habits because it's awesome. And then please make sure that you watch the videos for both you and your child's primary and secondary learning style, and then dive into the different study techniques. Those are all separate videos so that you don't get jumbled down with things that kind of don't matter to you. I get it. If you found this video helpful, and if you found this is the first video, that's absolutely awesome. This is the first video for the series. It's important that you learn your child's learning style and you learn yours first before you get into the other videos. I'm a kinesthetic auditory learner who doesn't mind visual aids. So, like, you can be in multiple categories, and that's awesome too. Now, don't forget to drop a few comments below. I dropped some links for you guys to some helpful books and tools in the description box too. I read every comment that I get. Here's the playlist over here. If you find that this information is valuable, keep going. If you found value in the information, please consider sharing the video with a friend or family member. If you have any suggestions for me, feel free to drop them in the comments below and let me know. But I hope you're having an absolutely amazing morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.